The orchid greenhouse had always been my sanctuary. It wasn't merely a pastime. It was a realm I commanded, from the temperature to the humidity, down to the watering schedule. Every plant thrived because I willed it so. Inside, it was always cozy and fragrant, the air dense with a scent of phalaenopsis blooms and moist soil. That morning I held the shears, concentrating on snipping a yellowing leaf. I didn't notice him enter, but I sensed him. The quiet breath near my neck. The subtle shift in the air behind me, then his voice. "You're letting that one fade," Ethan said softly, leaning over my shoulder. I smiled without turning. Some things must go to make space for what's still alive. He stepped nearer. I felt the warmth radiating from him. Taller now, broader. No longer the gangly boy I teased for forgetting to water the rosemary. It was astonishing sometimes how quickly he'd changed. Not just in body, though yes I noticed, but in certainty. His presence had grown heavier, more intentional. I had known Ethan since he was 11. His mother, my closest friend, had passed suddenly, and he began spending summers with me. At first it was temporary, but time made it lasting. I was his guide, his refuge. His link to something gentle after all the harshness had vanished. I never thought of it as parenting. Exactly. More like guarding, more like keeping a vow. And now he was 22. No longer the boy trailing me with mud-stained sneakers. He was a man who met my gaze and waited. "I'm surprised you let me in today," he said, eyes on my hands. I shrugged lightly, still avoiding his stare. Felt like it. Ethan leaned slightly, brushing his arm against mine. "You never let anyone help here. Not even me." I turned, shears held between us. "Do you think these orchids bloom on good intentions and clumsy hands?" He chuckled, tilting his head. "Then let me try." Froze. A simple sentence, yet not simple at all. There was weight in his tone. Something beyond curiosity. Something older. My throat constricted. He reached and gently took the shears. His fingers moved confidently, without hesitation. Unlike the boy I remembered, I should have stopped him, lightened the moment, redirected. But I didn't. His touch lingered. His eyes held mine. And in that silent pause I felt it. The instant when the past fell away, and the present dared to become something entirely new. "I know how this looks," he murmured. "Careful. But I'm not a child anymore." I stood frozen, unsure if it was fear or curiosity rooting me in place. Maybe both. "You don't have to protect me from this," he added. That word, this, hung in the air between us. I looked away, trying to focus on the orchids, the routine, the rules I lived by. But nothing here was routine. His hand brushed mine again, gentle, tentative. "You feel it too, don't you?" he asked. I couldn't lie. I couldn't even breathe properly. It wasn't just his youth. It was that I'd watched him grow into someone who now saw me, not as a caretaker, not as a mentor, but as a woman. And when had anyone last looked at me that way? I whispered, "We can't." "I won't tell anyone," he said, steady. "I've tried not to want this, but I can't anymore." His hand moved to the small of my back, firm yet gentle. I didn't pull away. It wasn't a rush of passion. It wasn't reckless. It was deliberate, quiet, like crossing a line in slow motion, aware of the consequences yet needing to see what lay beyond. My breath caught as he leaned closer. The orchids trembled. The greenhouse walls whispered with a faint crackle of sunlight, highlighting us like an unasked spotlight. When he kissed me, it wasn't cinematic. Not wild or desperate. Careful, honest, as if seeking permission I wasn't sure I'd ever grant, but somehow had. I didn't stop him. I didn't want to. Afterward, we didn't speak immediately. We sat on the old bench near the misting table. I stared at the orchids, pretending they still demanded my attention. He reached for my hand. I let him take it. "I mean it," he said. "I'm not confused, and I don't want you to regret this." "I don't," I replied quietly. "I'm just not used to being seen this way anymore." He squeezed my hand, thumb brushing over mine like a vow. You deserve to be seen. The words should not have mattered so much, yet they did. That night sleep eluded me. I lay awake, listening to the quiet of the house, my body humming with the memory of his touch. I thought about what we'd crossed, what we might lose, what I wasn't supposed to feel. But I also thought about how alive I felt, how awake, how long it had been since someone truly saw me. Not from obligation, not from history, but because they wanted me. Truly wanted me. The next morning, Ethan was already outside, tending the garden as if he had always belonged. When I opened the greenhouse door, he smiled. No awkwardness. No apologies. Just quiet understanding. We never named it. Never made promises we couldn't keep. But in that warm, hidden world of orchids and damp earth, something grew I hadn't anticipated. A connection that asked no permission and needed none. And even now, when I enter that greenhouse, I remember the moment that changed everything. Because sometimes love doesn't obey rules. It thrives in silence, in warmth, in places you never imagined.